Beloved soul, welcome. Your spirit has not arrived here by accident. There is something in this message that heaven wants you to hear, something meant to rest gently in the deepest place of your heart. You may have felt the ache of someone walking away from you. You may have seen their back as they turned, stepping into a road that did not include you, leaving you to wonder why God would allow the connection to break when it felt like it had been formed by His own hands. Perhaps you prayed for them to stay, but the winds carried them far. And yet, here is what the angels are speaking over you. Now they went their own way, but God has not released the story. In His divine wisdom, He allowed the distance, only to teach lessons that could not have been learned in each other's constant presence. For there are journeys that the soul must take alone, not to break the bond, but to deepen it. You see, separation in God's hands is not always an ending. Sometimes it is the sacred space where transformation happens, unseen by human eyes, yet fully known in heaven's record. They had to walk into places where your voice could not reach them, so that they might finally learn to hear the one voice that can never be silenced, the voice of God. And in that listening, something began to stir, not a fleeting thought, not a wave of nostalgia, but a slow, holy awakening that your presence in their life was never random, never disposable, never just a season. They are beginning to understand that when God writes a name upon the heart, it is not erased by time, distance, or even human choice. Beloved, hear me now. You have not been forgotten. You have been kept, and the keeping has been deliberate. While you were wondering if they still thought of you, God was weaving reminders into their days. A sound, a scent, a word, an unexpected memory that pulled them back to the tenderness they once felt in your presence. The angels are whispering that their path, no matter how far it strayed, has begun to curve back toward you, not because you forced it, not because you chased it, but because God Himself is calling it home. Sometimes, beloved, the most powerful pull is not the grasp of our hands, but the unseen magnet of prayer and divine timing. You have prayed, perhaps through tears, perhaps with shaking hands, perhaps in silence when words would not come. Those prayers were never lost in the air. They became threads in the unseen tapestry, binding what looked frayed, guiding what looked lost, and marking a way back when the world said there was none. And here is where you must rest in peace. It is not your job to make them return. It is your calling to stay rooted in the love of God, so that when they do, they return not to the same version of you they once knew, but to a deeper, wiser, more radiant reflection of Christ within you. This is how God works, not in rush, not in panic, but in the slow, deliberate unfolding of His will. You may not see the full picture yet, but heaven assures me the movement has begun. They are walking a road they believe they chose, but it is a road that winds straight through the heart of God, and that road is leading them back to where they belong. My dear one, if this message has touched something in your spirit, I invite you to remain connected to this space. Subscribe so you can continue to receive words of peace, words that hold you steady in seasons when the path feels uncertain. Share your reflections or your prayer requests in the comments. I read them, and I carry them before God with you. And if this message has blessed your heart, consider supporting with a super thanks, so we can keep sending these gentle truths to souls who may be on the verge of giving up hope. This is not about numbers or gain. It is about keeping the light burning for those walking through shadow. Now, breathe for a moment. Let peace find you here, because the angels say what looks like a detour is only the scenic route in God's plan, and His plan is still unfolding. They will see it. You will see it. And when the moment comes, you will both know this was never the end. It was only the pause before the return. Beloved soul, you have waited with questions pressing at the edges of your heart. You have wondered if time has been wasted, if all the love you gave has been scattered into the wind with nothing to show for it. But hear me now, God does not waste love. He gathers it, He sanctifies it, and when the time is right, He breathes on it again so it can live anew. The angels speak of a stirring in the one who left. They will not tell you every detail, for some things must be revealed in their own moment, but they are showing me glimpses of what God has been doing in their soul. When they stepped away, they believed they were choosing freedom. What they did not understand was that they were stepping into a season where God would strip away the illusions that had kept them from seeing clearly. They thought the world beyond you would fill them. Instead, they found that what glitters without God quickly turns to dust in the hands. They began to feel an emptiness they could not explain. At first, they tried to fill it with noise, with distraction, with faces that could not truly know them. But God kept quieting their surroundings until the silence began to speak. And in that silence, they heard something they could not run from, the truth of what your presence had been in their life. Not perfect, not without its trials, but pure in the way that only something planted by God can be. Beloved, the angels say this is not just about a person returning to you. It is about a heart returning to God first, because love that is not rooted in Him will always drift, no matter how strong it feels in the beginning. So God, in His mercy, let them wander, not as a punishment, but as an invitation to discover that every path that tries to avoid His will eventually circles back to His presence. And now, the circling has begun. Perhaps you have felt it, an unexplainable shift in your spirit, as if the air around you has changed. A dream that felt too vivid to be random, a thought of them rising in your heart when you were not trying to remember. These are signs, dear one, that God is aligning hearts once more, not on your timetable, not according to your plan, but in a way that will leave no room for doubt, that it is His doing. Do not grow weary in the waiting. Do not think that nothing is happening simply because your eyes cannot see it yet. The work of God is often hidden until the appointed time. Remember, seeds break open in the darkness before their first green reaches the light. Your prayers, your surrender, your quiet faith, these have been like water to the soil. And heaven assures me, the seed has already sprouted beneath the surface. It will rise. My dear friend, if these words are nourishing your spirit, stay close to this space. Subscribe so we can continue walking this road together, holding to God's promises even when the path feels long. Share your thoughts or prayer requests in the comments, because your voice matters here, and together we can lift each other up. And if God places it on your heart, you can support this work through a super thanks, helping us reach more souls who need to know that God's timing is never late. Your kindness keeps these words flowing to those who are silently struggling. Now, take a deep breath. Release the timeline you thought it should follow. Release the pressure to understand every turn in the road, because God is already walking with them, and He is also walking with you. You are both being led to the same place. Even if your paths look different right now, one day, when the moment comes, you will see it clearly. The distance was not a breaking. It was a bridge being built in ways you could not yet see. They are coming home, beloved. Step by step, prayer by prayer, grace by grace. The story is still in motion, and heaven is smiling upon the work God is doing in both of you. Beloved, I want you to rest in this truth today. Nothing God ordains can be permanently stolen. The winds may scatter what looks fragile. The tide may pull back what you thought was yours to keep. But if it was planted in the soil of His will, it will grow again, even after a season of stillness. The angels are showing me the one who left, standing at a quiet crossroad in their spirit. They have traveled far enough to know that the way they chose was not the way their heart truly longed for. And though they may not yet have spoken it aloud, something in them aches for the peace they once knew with you. Not just the moments, not just the memories, but the feeling of being anchored, of being seen, of being in a place that felt like home. They are beginning to realize that home is not always a location. Sometimes it is a soul, And you, dear one, have been that soul for them. God allowed their journey so they could see the truth for themselves, because if they had stayed without understanding, they would have taken the gift lightly. But now, they see the difference between what is fleeting and what is eternal. They see the value of love that carries the fragrance of heaven. And the angels say they will not be able to ignore that pull much longer. Do not be surprised if their return is quiet. Do not be surprised if it comes clothed in humility, in careful words, in small steps toward rebuilding trust. This is not a grand performance. This is a work of the Spirit. God does not rush holy things. He restores them layer by layer, making them stronger than before. So while you wait, beloved, tend to your own heart. Grow in the ways God has been calling you to grow. Let Him fill your days with beauty, even before the reunion, because when they come back, they will be meeting a you who has been refined in the fire of faith. You will not be the same, and that is part of God's plan. The reunion is not just about what you had before. It is about stepping into something new, something sanctified, something that has walked through loss and emerged with unshakable roots. So do not think of this season as empty. Think of it as the quiet construction site where God is building the foundation for what will last. If these words are watering your spirit, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe to receive more messages like this, gentle reminders that you are not forgotten, that God's timing is at work in every breath. Share in the comments what God has been speaking to your heart, or leave your prayer requests so that we can lift each other up as one family in faith. And if you feel led, you can offer us super thanks to help us continue sending these messages to souls who might be on the edge of giving up hope. Your kindness allows this light to reach further than we could on our own. Now, breathe deeply. Let go of the fear that the story has slipped from God's hands. It has not. It is held more securely than you can imagine. They went their own way, but God's way is greater. And His way is already guiding them back to you. When the moment comes, it will not be forced. It will not be rushed. It will feel like the most natural thing in the world, because heaven has been preparing it all along. Beloved, the ending you feared is not the ending God has written. What He writes is good. What He writes is perfect in its time. And what He writes will stand forever. Rest in that, and let your heart be at peace. Beloved soul, there is something you must know today. The waiting is not wasted. Every day that passes is shaping you and shaping them in ways you may not see yet, but heaven sees clearly. God is not only bringing them back, He is bringing them back ready to love without fear, ready to stay without running, ready to honor the gift He gave them in you. The angels tell me that even now, they are having moments they cannot explain, moments when your name drifts into their mind unexpected times. When a memory plays like a quiet song in the back of their heart, they may try to push it aside, but God is gentle and persistent. He will place reminders where they cannot avoid them. A phrase you used to say, a place you once walked together. Kindness they felt from you that the world cannot replicate. These are not accidents. These are breadcrumbs from heaven, leading them back, and as they follow, something deep within them is shifting. The pride that once told them they could do better without you is softening. The stubbornness that kept them from admitting their need for you is melting away. God is humbling them, not to harm them, but to prepare them to return with a heart that understands the value of what was lost. You see, my dear one, when God restores, He doesn't simply give back what was taken. He multiplies it. He redeems the time. He makes it stronger than it ever was before. This is why the wait has been long. This is why it could not happen sooner. If they had come back before the work was done in them and in you, the same cracks would have shown again. But now you are both being rebuilt. They are learning what love really means. And you are learning that your worth is not measured by someone's choice to stay or leave. Your worth is anchored in the one who never lets go. This is how God writes a story that lasts. He writes it in such a way that when the two of you finally stand face to face again, you will both know this is not by chance. This is the hand of God. Beloved, if these words are strengthening your spirit, stay close to this space. Subscribe so that every week you can be reminded of the truth that God's timing is perfect and His plans are always good. Share your reflections or prayer requests in the comments. This is a place where your voice matters and your faith is heard. And if you feel led, offer a super thanks to help this light travel to hearts in need across the world. Every gift keeps this work alive for those who might not know how much God is still moving in their story. Now, breathe in slowly. Hold it for a moment. And as you breathe out, release the pressure to make this happen in your own strength, because God is already doing what only He can do. They went their own way, but the way is turning. The circle is closing. And before you know it, the path that seemed so far apart will merge again under the covering of His love. When it happens, you will not need to question. You will feel it in your spirit, the quiet confirmation that heaven has brought them home, and this time, they will be ready to stay. Beloved heart, you have carried this hope for so long that some days it has felt heavy. You have wondered if you have misunderstood God's whispers. You have looked at the silence at the distance and thought, maybe I imagined it all. But the angels are clear. You did not imagine the connection. You did not invent the way. God placed them in your life. You are not clinging to a shadow. What you felt was real. What you shared was holy. And what God began, He has not abandoned. The human heart is complex. It can long for something and fear it at the same time. It can recognize love and still run from it if it is not ready to receive it. That is why God sometimes allows a separation, not to destroy, but to heal what fear has broken. The one who left has been walking a path full of lessons. Some lessons are gentle, some are sharp, but all of them have been leading to one truth. They cannot outrun what God has written for their life. They may have thought they could choose differently. They may have tried to silence the voice of remembrance, but God has been speaking in ways they cannot ignore. In the quiet hours when no one else is around. In the moments when life feels empty, despite all they've tried to fill it with. And slowly, they are realizing peace was not in the leaving. Peace is in the return. Beloved, do not let impatience steal your joy in this season, for the same God who is working on their heart is also shaping yours. Your faith has been tested here. Your trust has been stretched. But these trials are not wasted. They are strengthening the love you will one day share again. And it will be a love that has survived fire. A love that has walked through shadow. A love that knows the cost of separation and therefore chooses to stay. This is the kind of love that glorifies God, because it is not held together by human effort alone. It is held together by His grace. If these words are keeping your hope alive, I invite you to walk with me in this journey. Subscribe so you do not lose the gentle reminders that God's hand is steady even when yours trembles. Share your thoughts or your prayer requests in the comments. Your testimony may be the light someone else needs to keep going. And if this message has blessed you, consider offering a super thanks to help us continue reaching hearts that are longing for hope but have forgotten where to find it. Your kindness makes these words possible for many who need them most. Now, take a moment. Close your eyes if you can. And picture the road before them turning. Picture their steps slowing as they remember. Picture their hearts softening as God whispers to them of you. You do not need to chase them, for love written in heaven is already being drawn back by the hand of the author himself. They went their own way, yes, but the way is bending gently, purposefully, inevitably. And soon it will bring them to your door again. This time, not as one who is uncertain, but as one who knows they are home. Beloved soul, I want you to hear this in the quiet of your spirit. God is not only the author of your story, He is the keeper of its every chapter. The ending will not be written by fear, by human choice, or by the mistakes of the past. It will be written by the one who sees the whole journey from beginning to end. He has not called this the end. The one who walked away has been walking through a long season of searching. They searched for fulfillment. They searched for meaning. They searched for peace. But what they did not realize was that all along, the thing they were seeking was not in new places or new faces. It was in the presence of God, and in the connection He had already given them through you. The angels say they are closer now to this realization than ever before. The walls around their heart are beginning to crack. Light is finding its way in. And with that light comes remembrance. The warmth of your voice, the safety of your presence, the way your spirit seemed to carry the peace they could not find anywhere else. They are beginning to understand that leaving you did not free them. It left them wandering, and the only way to stop wandering is to come home. But home will not be exactly as it was before. It will be renewed. It will be purified by time, apart, and by the lessons learned. It will be a place where love is not taken for granted, where God is placed at the center, where both hearts have been humbled and made ready to honor what was once fragile. This is why God did not rush the return. He wanted to give you both the gift of becoming whole in Him first, because two whole hearts, joined in His will, can carry a love that will stand through any storm. So while you wait, walk in joy. Do not let the enemy convince you that nothing is happening. Every prayer you have prayed is still working. Every tear you have shed has been gathered, and every hope you have surrendered has been woven into the outcome God is preparing. Beloved, I encourage you to keep your spirit nourished. Subscribe so you can continue receiving words that remind you of God's unshakable promises. Share your reflections or prayer requests in the comments. Your journey may echo in the heart of someone else who needs to know they are not alone. And if this message has poured peace into your soul, you may offer a super thanks to help keep these words reaching hearts that may have stopped believing in God's timing. Your kindness makes this ministry of hope possible. Now, rest in this assurance. They went their own way, but the way has a limit. When God has marked a destination, they may not see it yet, but their steps are already being guided back toward you. Not by coincidence, not by chance, but by the steady hand of the one who wrote this connection into existence before you even knew each other's names. When the day of return comes, it will not feel forced or uncertain. It will feel like the most natural thing in the world, because heaven has been aligning it all along. And when you look into their eyes again, you will know this was not the end. It was only the chapter where God proved that nothing can separate what He has joined in His will. Until then, beloved, let your heart be still. You are held, they are guided, and the story is safe in His hands. Beloved soul, we often think of going their own way as a final choice, a turning of the page we cannot get back. We watch them walk away, we feel the absence in our days, and something inside us whispers, this must be the end. But heaven does not speak in endings the way the world does. Heaven speaks in continuations. Heaven speaks in restoration. And the angels want you to know today, the chapter you are in is not the chapter that will close your story. They left with steps they thought were their own, but even in their leaving, they were walking on ground God had already mapped out. Every turn they took, every road they wandered down, every choice they made in the hope of finding something better or different, all of it was still under the watchful eye of the one who never loses sight of His children. Sometimes we think free will means God steps back and lets us fall apart on our own. But oh beloved, even in free will, there is divine mercy. God will not violate their choice, but He will plant moments along their path that keep pointing back to truth. And that truth, though they may fight it, is that you were not just someone in their story. You were a piece of God's plan for their life. They may not have language for it yet. They may not be ready to admit it. but deep inside, they feel it. In the middle of the night, when their mind is too quiet to distract them. In the middle of the day, when they pass a place that makes them think of you. In the unexpected conversation with a stranger that reminds them of your words. God is speaking. Not loudly, not forcefully, but persistently, in a way that seeps into their heart until it cannot be ignored. You see, there's a difference between missing someone because of habit and missing someone because your soul knows it is incomplete without them. They are beginning to realize it is the second kind, the kind you can't shake with busyness or bury under new connections, the kind that keeps resurfacing no matter how much you try to walk away from it. Beloved, this is why you have felt the pull in your own spirit. This is why you sometimes wake up with their name in your mind, or feel a strange peace wash over you out of nowhere. It is because God is aligning two hearts again, not instantly. Not in one grand moment, but in a way that will make it impossible to deny His hand when the time comes. I know the waiting can feel like a wilderness. I know you have questioned why God didn't just keep them in your life to begin with. But you and I both know that love without understanding often withers. Love without humility often breaks under the weight of pride. Love without God at the center eventually drifts, no matter how much you hold on. That is why the time apart matters. It has been a season of refining. For them, it has been the season of realizing that what they thought they wanted could never satisfy the deeper hunger of the soul. For you, it has been the season of realizing that your worth and joy cannot be held hostage by someone's presence or absence. This is holy work, beloved. And holy work takes time. The angels are saying something tender now, that the reunion will not feel like the closing of a wound, but the beginning of a garden. Because God will not just bring them back to the same ground you once stood on together. He will plant you both in richer soil, with deeper roots, so the storms that once shook you will no longer break you. You will speak differently. You will listen differently. You will love differently, with the kind of love that has been tempered in fire. So do not see today's distance as the final measure of the story. See it as the soil where God is working, unseen. Beloved, if this is resonating with the deepest parts of you, I invite you to remain close to this space. Subscribe so that every time doubt begins to rise, you can be reminded of the God who finishes what He starts. Share your reflections or prayer requests in the comments. Your words may be the very thing that helps another weary soul find strength again. And if this message has been a blessing to your heart, you may offer a super thanks, not as a transaction, but as a way of joining hands in keeping this light shining for others walking the same path. Now, rest here for a moment, close your eyes and imagine God's hand gently turning the heart of the one you love back toward the light. Imagine their steps beginning to slow as they feel His pull. Imagine them remembering, not with regret alone, but with the deep desire to make right what was wrong. They went their own way, yes. But the further they've gone, the more they've realized every road worth taking leads them back. And soon, by the grace of God, they will follow it home. Beloved soul, I want you to lean into this truth today. God is not only the one who begins good things, He's the one who faithfully carries them to completion. And this connection you have carried in your spirit, it is not forgotten. It has not been left to wither under the passing of time. It is being tended to in ways you cannot yet see, by hands far more capable than yours. The one who went their own way may have thought they were walking away from a chapter of their life. They may have believed that closing the door on you would open something greater. But the further they've gone, the more they have discovered that what God ordains cannot be replaced by human choice. Yes, they have met new faces. Yes, they have stood in new places. Yes, they have chased after what they thought would satisfy. But the angels say their heart has found no lasting rest there, because there is a difference between a distraction and a destiny. Distractions entertain for a moment, but destiny pulls at you until you can no longer ignore it. And you, beloved, are part of their God-given destiny. They are beginning to see the difference. Now, not because someone told them, not because you reached out to remind them, but because God Himself has been revealing it in the quiet moments, where no other voice can speak but His. He has been whispering to their soul, stirring in their spirit, making them see that what they had with you was rare, not because it was perfect, but because it was planted in His will. And now, the turning has begun. Their thoughts are circling back. Their heart is softening. Their pride is bending under the weight of truth. They may not be ready to step toward you today, but the journey has already shifted. It is no longer moving away. It is slowly, steadily drawing back. Beloved, I know the waiting has been long. I know the nights have felt empty. I know there are days when hope feels like it is slipping through your fingers. But the angels say, hope is not leaving you. It is being fulfilled in God's time, for just as the tide must go out before it comes, rushing back in, this separation was part of the ebb and flow that will make the return even more certain. And when it comes, it will be different. It will be humble. It will be intentional. It will be marked by the understanding that love is not a feeling to drift in and out of. It is a choice made daily under the covering of God's grace. This is what He is preparing. Not a repeat of the past, but the beginning of something more steadfast, more mature, more unshakable. That is why you cannot give up now. The work is not yet finished, but it is well underway. Even now, their steps are being guided. Even now, their heart is being softened. Even now, their spirit is being drawn toward the place where both of your paths will meet again. Beloved, if these words are anchoring your faith, I invite you to stay connected here. Subscribe, so that your heart can continue to be reminded of God's steady hand in the waiting. Share your thoughts or prayer requests in the comments. Your story may be the seed of encouragement in someone else's barren season. And if this message has been a blessing to you, you may offer a super thanks to help us carry these words to those who have almost given up hope. Your kindness makes this light reach further than we could alone. Now, rest in this. They went their own way, but God's way is higher. And His way is already turning them back toward you. One day, sooner than you think, the space between you will close. Not because you ran to meet them, but because God Himself guided their steps home. And when you stand face to face again, you will both know. This was always His plan. Beloved soul, take this moment to breathe deeply and let your spirit rest in the tender truth I am about to share. The path you have walked alone has not been empty, though the silence felt deafening and the absence felt like a hollow ache in your heart. God has been present in every step you did not see Him taking. They may have chosen their own way, thinking it was the only road to freedom or to clarity. But God's hands have never released them. His eyes have never stopped watching over both of you, and His heart has never stopped holding the possibility of reunion with tenderness and purpose. I know the waiting feels endless. I know the nights sometimes bring questions that feel too heavy to carry. Why did they leave? Will they come back? Am I enough? Does God still care about what I'm feeling? Hear me now, beloved. God sees you. He feels every tear you have cried. He knows every prayer you have whispered in the quiet hours. And He is not distant or uncaring. He is close, closer than the breath you take, closer than the beating of your heart. The angels say your story is not defined by the distance between you. It is defined by the divine thread that connects you. No matter how far the physical space, that thread is woven from the fabric of God's eternal love. It cannot be broken by human choices. It cannot be undone by time or silence, and it cannot be severed by the trials that have tested your faith. Are being prepared for a love that is stronger than the hurt you have endured, a love that will not falter when faced with storms, a love that will stand on the foundation of grace, forgiveness, and unwavering trust in God's plan. And the one who went their own way is also being prepared, not simply to return, but to return transformed. Their heart is being softened by the gentle power of God's truth. Their soul is being cleansed by the quiet work of repentance and healing. Their mind is being renewed with the understanding that love is not a possession to be taken lightly. It is a sacred gift to be cherished and protected. Beloved, you may not see all of this happening now. You may only see the shadows and hear the silence. But the angels assure me the light is breaking through behind those shadows. And that light is God's promise to you. A promise that no matter how far someone has gone, God's grace is always greater. So I encourage you to hold fast to hope. Do not allow despair to take root in your heart. Do not let fear convince you that the story is over before its time. Instead, keep your eyes on God. Keep your heart open to His leading. Keep your spirit anchored in the truth that He is making all things new. If you feel your soul strengthened by these words, I invite you to stay with this community of faith and peace. Subscribe so you never lose sight of the hope God places before you each day. Share your reflections and prayer requests in the comments, because when we share our stories, we remind each other that no one walks alone. And if this message has been a balm to your weary heart, consider offering a super thanks. Know that your support helps these words reach those who might be at the edge of surrender. And your kindness is a part of God's greater plan to bring healing to many. Now, breathe in slowly. Let the weight of uncertainty fall away for just a moment. And feel the quiet peace of God's presence settling over you. They went their own way, but God's way is always perfect, and His love is always pulling them back, not because of your strength, not because of their choice alone, but because of the steady, unfailing hand of the one who wrote this love story long before you ever met. In His time, in His way, in His perfect will, they will return. And when they do, it will be with hearts made ready by grace. Hearts that will cherish, honor, and hold what God has blessed. Beloved, hold on to this promise. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are deeply loved. And the story God is writing is still unfolding, more beautifully than you could ever imagine. Rest in that truth today. And let your heart be at peace.